The stars were quiet the night the ship fell. It looked like a shooting star at first, blazing through Earth's sky. But it wasn't a star. It was a small silver ship, broken and burning. Inside were two sisters, Nira and Zaya, from a faraway planet called Valtrix. Their eyes glowed softly, and their skin shimmered like smooth stone under moonlight. The sisters were from the Velari people, known across the galaxy for their peaceful ways and bright energy. But not all on Valtrix liked peace, some powerful leaders feared change, and they feared Nira and Zaya's voices most of all. Nira was calm and clever. She believed that everyone, no matter their birth, deserved respect. Zaya was bold and strong. She believed in speaking the truth, even when it was dangerous. So, one day, the leaders sent the sisters away. They told them it was a mission to explore Earth, a strange planet full of wild nature and old machines. But the ship had hidden problems. Someone had made sure it would fail, and it did. When the ship hit the forest, trees exploded into sparks, the ground shook, birds flew in every direction. Smoke rose above the trees like a signal. The ship skidded across the forest floor and came to a stop near a quiet river. Inside, Nira opened her eyes. "Zaya," she whispered. "I'm here." Zaya said, groaning as she sat up. "The ship is gone." Both sisters had cuts and bruises, but they were alive. The ship was not. The front side had melted. The main controls were dead. The beacon light flickered, then died completely. No messages could be sent home. Nira stood slowly, holding her side. "They wanted us to crash." Zaya looked around. The tall trees, the wet air. The stars above it was beautiful, but strange. "We've been left here on purpose." The truth sank deep in their hearts. They weren't explorers. They were exiles. For days, they stayed near the broken ship, hiding in the forest. They built a small shelter using pieces of the ship and tree branches. They drank water from the river and ate glowing root fruits they found near the crash. At night, Earth's sky amazed them. So many stars, so close. They saw moons, comets, and far-off colors their planet never showed. But still, they were alone. Zaya wanted to walk far and find help. "There must be people on this planet," she said. "Even if they are not Velari, someone must be here." Nira was unsure. "We don't know how they will act. We don't know their language or their weapons." Still, one morning, Zaya went exploring. She climbed trees and followed sounds. She saw something strange, tall metal towers in the distance, and outposts cut through the forest. That evening, she returned with big eyes. "Nira, I saw people. They were dark green clothes and walk in groups. They carry machines." Nira tilted her head. "Are they soldiers?" "I think so," Zaya said. "But they looked calm. They didn't fight anyone." One of them was laughing. The sisters had found Earth's humans. One morning, while Nira was repairing a broken scanner, she heard soft footsteps. She turned quickly. A human stood about 20 steps away. He was young, maybe 20 winters old. He wore a green uniform and had short black hair. He had no helmet, no weapon in his hands. He raised both arms slowly, showing peace. Nira froze. The human didn't move closer. He just sat down on a rock and stayed quiet. Then he pointed to himself and said, "Wreck." Nira blinked out. The human smiled and said again, "Wreck." After a long moment, Nira pointed to herself. "Nira," she said slowly. The human's smile grew bigger. The meeting was short. After a few minutes, Rex stood up, bowed slightly, and walked away. Nira ran back to tell Zaya, "I met one. His name is Rek. He didn't attack. He smiled." Zaya crossed her arms. "Maybe it's a trick." But Nira shook her head. "He didn't even try to come close. He wanted to talk." Zaya frowned, then nodded. "We'll watch him tomorrow." The next day, both sisters waited by the trees. As the sun rose, Rek came again. This time, he brought a bag. Inside were fruits, bread, and water. Zaya stayed hidden while Nira stepped forward. Rek saw her, gave a slow wave, and placed the bag on a rock. He didn't speak much, just smiled, made hand signs, and showed he meant no harm. That night, Zaya tasted human fruit for the first time. Sweet, she said, surprised. Different, but not bad. From that day on, Rek visited often. One day, he brought another human Tamil. He was taller than Rek and quieter. He smiled gently and carried a notebook, using pictures. He tried to teach words. Nira and Zaya learned slowly. Friend, sky, peace, soldier, Zaya asked Rek, pointing to her chest. Velari, Rek replied, touching his own, human. Then he smiled and touched his heart. Same. Weeks passed. The sisters began to understand Earth better. Rek and Tamil helped bring clothes and batteries. In return, Nira showed them a glowing stone that stored energy. Zaya helped fix a broken drone they had found. Trust grew. One night, Nira asked, "Do you think we belong here now?" Zaya sat by the fire, staring at the stars. "We don't belong. But maybe we're meant to be here." Earth was not Valtrix, but Earth had forests, rivers, stars, and kind people. It was not home. But it wasn't just a prison anymore. Something was changing. Something new had begun. Zaya woke early that morning. The wind moved softly through the trees. A gentle light fell through the leaves. Birds made strange music. She stood outside their shelter and stretched her arms. For the first time since they crashed, the forest felt a little less lonely. A short walk away, Nira was talking with Rek again. He had come alone today, carrying a box full of small things, tools, wire, and batteries. His smile was wide, and his eyes brightened every time Nira laughed. Zaya watched them from behind a thick tree. She didn't say anything, but she noticed how close Nira and Rek sat now. Not too close, but not far either. She smiled a little and turned away. Zaya wasn't ready to trust humans fully, but Rek was kind. He always came with good things, food, tools, words, and he never brought danger. Until that day, Zaya heard footsteps before she saw anyone. Multiple pairs. She spun around quickly and saw Rek walking toward their small clearing, but this time, he wasn't alone. A second human followed him, tall, broad, with short hair and a serious face. He wore the same dark green uniform, but he had a calm walk. Rek turned and called out softly. Nira appeared from behind the shelter. When she saw the second soldier, she froze. Zaya stepped forward, her hand near her side where she kept a small glowing device just in case. The new soldier raised both hands slowly, showing no threat. Then Rek stepped between them and pointed. Tamil, he said. The tall soldier gave a small bow. Hello. Zaya narrowed her eyes but said nothing. She waited. Rek pulled out a small paper pad from his bag and showed it to them. On it were drawings. He had drawn two figures standing together with the sun above them. Then he pointed to the paper, then to Tamil. Friend, he said. Friend? Nira gave a quiet nod. Friend, she repeated. Zeya looked at Tamil. He wasn't smiling, but his eyes were soft. He looked around carefully, as if studying every tree and sound. Finally, she spoke. Friend, she said. Tamil smiled, just a little. In the days that followed, Rek and Tamil visited together. They brought more things: dry food, blankets, even a small tent. Nira and Zaya now had better shelter, and with the help of the humans, the forest felt safer. Zaya still watched Tamil closely. He didn't talk much, but when he did, his words were careful and clear. He liked to sit quietly, listening to birds and fixing little gadgets. One day, he gave Zaya a small box. When she opened it, soft music played. She didn't say anything. She just smiled and kept the box. Nira's connection with Rek grew deeper. They sat close and shared words every day. Rek was learning their Velari sounds, and Nira was learning Earth's language. They talked about space, about stars, and about Earth's people. Rek told her about his family, his mother who painted, his younger sister who loved flowers, and his small town far away from the forest. Nira listened with care. In return, she told him about Valtrix's crystal gardens, the floating cities, and the soft purple skies during nightfall. One evening, Nira asked, "Why do you help us?" Rek thought for a moment. "Because you need help, and because I like peace." Nira's eyes sparkled. "We do too." They both smiled. One cloudy afternoon, Tamil and Zaya explored the forest together. They didn't speak much. Tamil pointed out animal tracks, showed her how to move quietly, and let her try on his small vision glasses. Zaya laughed when she saw through the glasses. So clear, she said. Tamil smiled. You learn fast. Zaya shrugged. We were trained in many things on Valtrix, but I never walked through a forest like this before. Tamil picked up a round seed from the ground and handed it to her. Plant it near your shelter. It grows blue flowers. Zaya held the seed carefully. Thank you. There was silence. But it wasn't awkward. It was warm. As the friendship between the sisters and the soldiers deepened, the four of them began working together more closely. Zaya showed Tamil how to use a broken Velari tool to send a short-range energy pulse. He was amazed. Nira explained to Rek how a piece of their ship could absorb sunlight and turn it into power. Rek was excited. You could help Earth with this. Nira shook her head gently. Only if Earth helps us too. Rek nodded. I will. Late one night, the four sat around a small campfire. Nira and Rek shared quiet words, and Zaya stared into the flames. Tamil sat beside her. Do you miss your home? He asked softly. Zaya nodded. Every night, Tamil picked up a stick and poked the fire. You're strong. Both of you. Zaya looked at him. We didn't choose to be strong. We had no choice. Tamil nodded. Sometimes that's how it is. Zaya tilted her head. Why do you care? Tamil looked at the stars. Maybe because I see something special in you. Zaya didn't reply, but she didn't look away either. In the next few weeks, the forest around them changed. Birds flew in different directions. The air felt heavier. Nira noticed it first. She stood on a rock, looking up. Something is coming, she whispered. Rek joined her. What do you mean? Nira closed her eyes. The stars feel tense, like before a storm. Zaya touched her small scanner. There's movement in the sky. Not natural. Tamil stood beside her. You think it's from your world? Zaya nodded. Yes. And they're not coming to rescue us. The peace of the forest was fading, but the friendships, the bonds, the promises, they were just beginning to grow strong. The sisters were not alone anymore. The days on Earth were long, and the nights were cool. Zaya sat near the river, holding a glowing crystal from her broken ship. The light from the crystal changed color: soft blue, deep purple, warm gold. It was something from home. Something that still carried the scent of Valtrix. She dipped her fingers into the water and watched small fish swim past. The forest around her was peaceful, but her heart felt heavy. Far behind her, laughter echoed from their shelter. Nira was practicing Earth language with Rek again. Zaya smiled to herself. Her sister laughed more now. That was good. But for Zaya, it was harder. She missed the floating cities of Valtrix. She missed their mother's voice and the tall glowing trees. She missed feeling like she belonged. Even though Earth was kind, it wasn't home. Nira, on the other hand, was learning fast. Every day, she spoke new Earth words. Rek helped her say them correctly. They pointed at things: a tree, bird, sky, fire, and said the names together, sometimes. Nira corrected Rek's Velari words, and they laughed together. She even taught him how to write simple Velari letters using a stick. And Dirt, your writing is crooked, she teased him one day, and yours looks like dancing worms. Rek replied. They both laughed so hard that Zaya rolled her eyes from behind the trees. You to talk like children, Zaya said. Rek grinned. That's how we learn. Tamil didn't speak as much as Rek, but he was always helpful. He brought old books about stars, machines, and Earth's past. He would sit with Zaya under a tree and open a page. This is Earth's moon, he said. One evening, Zaya looked at the picture. Only one moon. Valtrix had 3. Tamil looked up at the sky. One is enough for us. Zaya nodded slowly. Still beautiful. They both sat in silence for a while. Then she said, Do you think Valtrix misses us? Tamil looked at her. Do you miss it? Zaya didn't answer at first. Yes, every breath. Tamil didn't say anything more, but the quiet between them felt comforting. The sisters began to live a little more freely in the forest. They no longer hid from sounds. They walked with the soldiers near the edge of the military base, never inside, but close enough to see how humans worked. Nira was surprised to see Earth machines. Some were simple, others clever, but most looked heavy and old compared to Valtrix's tech still. She respected Earth's spirit. Humans were full of ideas and didn't give up, even when things broke. She said to Rek once, "You build slowly, but with heart." Rek smiled. "That's the only way we know." Zaya helped Tommel fix a broken drone. It was small, shaped like a bird, and it had fallen near the river after a test flight. Tommel opened the back panel and sighed. "Battery's dead. Wires are cut." Zaya touched the drone, felt its energy lines. "I can fix this." She used a small Valtrix tool from her belt and attached a thin silver wire. The drone's lights blinked. Then HUMMED. Mill watched in amazement. "That's incredible." Zaya handed him the drone. "Now it can fly again." Tommel looked at her. "So can you?" Zaya blinked. "What do you mean?" He pointed toward the sky. "You're not stuck here. You're learning. You're growing. That's flight 2. Zaya didn't answer, but she didn't forget those words. One day, Nira received a weak signal from a hidden piece of her ship. It was short and crackling, but clear enough. The message said, "Do not return. The council has declared you both as traitors." Nira read the words again and again. Zaya stood beside her, silent. They had hoped someone on Valtrix still cared. Maybe their mother, maybe a friend, but this message made it clear. They were not only exiled, they were now unwanted. Zaya clenched her fist. "They left us to die. And now they say we are traitors?" Nira lowered her head. "They are afraid of our ideas, afraid of change." Zaya looked up at the stars. "Then Earth is our only path now." Nira touched her arm. "At least here, we have people who care." They looked toward the camp, where Rek and Tommel were fixing a small heater. The humans didn't know everything, but they cared. And that mattered. That evening, Nira and Zaya cooked their own kind of food using Valtrix plants that grew from special seeds. The plants had begun to grow near the river, mixed with Earth soil. They invited Rek and Tommel to eat with them. The food was bright blue and soft, with a sweet scent. Rek tasted it and smiled wide. Tastes like candy and soup at the same time. Tommel raised an eyebrow. "Interesting." Zaya laughed. "It's good for your heart," Nira added. "It also helps with tired thoughts." Rek leaned back and looked at the stars. "Maybe you came here to help us more than we help you." Nira smiled softly. "Maybe we help each other." One quiet night, while the others were asleep, Zaya stood outside their shelter and looked at the stars. She whispered, "Mother, I don't know if you can hear me, but we are still alive. We are still strong." Behind her, she heard slow footsteps. It was Tommel. He stood beside her and didn't say anything for a while. Finally, he said, "The stars feel closer when you talk to them." Zaya nodded. "That's what we were taught as children." Tommel handed her a folded piece of paper. On it was a simple drawing to tall trees with a small house between them. Above the house was a moon, into stars. "What is this?" she asked. "A dream," Tommel said. "Maybe a future." Zaya looked at him for a long time. Then she put the paper carefully in her pocket, despite the quiet beauty of the forest. The sisters felt something changing. The birds flew differently. The wind carried new smells. The earth buzzed with strange energy. One morning, Nira stood near the river and whispered, "Something is coming." Zaya checked her scanner. A small light blinked. "Movement in the sky," she said, from far above. They both looked up. The stars were calm, but something beyond them had stirred. The peace they had found was now at risk. But this time, they were not alone. The sky was darker than usual that night. Nira and Zaya sat beside the small campfire with Rek and Tommel. The fire crackled softly, and the forest smelled of pine and earth. The stars were bright, but something felt different. Nira looked up and frowned. "The stars are restless." Tommel nodded slowly. "The scanners pick up strange signals above us." Zaya held a small device, a gift from their broken ship. It hummed quietly in her hand. "It's not from Earth." Rek rubbed his neck. "You think it's from your world." Nira's voice was calm but firm. Yes, something has come to Earth, but not to save us. Earlier that day, Rek had noticed something on the military radar. A fast-moving object entered Earth's atmosphere too fast for any known human craft. It moved silently and without a clear shape. Rek showed the readings to Tommel. This doesn't look good. Tommel stared at the screen. It might be a scout ship. Nira's eyes grew wide. A scout? From Valtrix? Zaya clenched her fists. They don't come to rescue. They come to erase. The four of them gathered around a small table. Nira spread out pieces of Velari technology. She worked quickly, connecting wires and powering devices. Tommel helped, handing tools and watching carefully. This shield can block sensors. Nira explained. If we can build it around the forest, they won't see us. Rex smiled. Then we make a shield. Zaya looked at the soldiers. You fight with weapons. We fight with protection. Rex nodded. Different battles, same goal. The sisters taught the soldiers how to use Velari tools. It was difficult at first. The tools looked strange, smooth shapes with glowing lines. Zaya showed Tommel how to create energy fields using small crystals. Tommel was careful, but soon he was making shields that pulsed with light. Nira helped Rek fix a broken satellite dish near the forest edge. They hoped to send a message, a warning to Earth's leaders if the scout ship came close. The soldiers and sisters worked side by side, learning from each other. One afternoon, as they tested the shields, a small drone flew near the forest. It was thin and fast, with sharp sensors. Zaya reached out and caught it gently. They are watching us already. Rek took the drone and studied it. These are not normal Earth drones. Nira frowned. They belong to the scout. Tommel looked worried. They are trying to find us. Zaya looked at the forest. We must protect this place. That night, the group sat around the fire again. The air was tense but calm. Nira said quietly, "We have to send a message." Rek nodded. "What will you say?" Nira thought for a moment. "We want peace. We want to live here without fear." Zaya added, "If they want war, we will protect ourselves. But we don't want war." Tommel looked at both sisters. "Earth will stand with you." Rek reached out and squeezed Nira's hand. "We are not just soldiers. We are friends." Suddenly, the sky lit up. A large ship appeared above the trees. It was dark and shaped like a sharp star. The scout ship. Its engines glowed with cold blue light, and its sensors swept over the forest. Zaya stood tall. "They are here." Nira powered up the shield device. The air shimmered, and a dome of soft light formed over the camp. The scouts sent out drones. They moved quickly, but the shield stopped them. The drones blinked, lost their signals, and fell harmlessly to the ground. Rek raised his hand. "Hold steady." The scout's captain spoke through a loud voice that echoed in the forest. "You are traitors. You cannot hide." Nira stepped forward. Her voice was calm but strong. "We do not want to fight. We want peace." Zaya added, "We ask you to leave Earth." The scout captain's voice was cold. "You are forgotten. If you resist, you will be destroyed." Rex spoke loudly. "If you harm them, you answer to Earth." The scout ship paused. Then, without warning, it turned and disappeared into the stars. The forest was quiet again. Nira looked at Rek and Tommel. "You risked much to help us." Rex smiled. "We risked nothing. We did what was right." Zaya touched the shield device. "This is only the beginning." Tommel nodded. "We will protect you." The next morning, the forest felt peaceful but different. The sisters and soldiers knew the danger was still near, but they also knew they were not alone anymore. Nira looked at the rising sun and said, "Earth is becoming our home." Zaya smiled. "And we will fight to keep it safe." Rek and Tommel stood beside them, together. They were ready for whatever came next. The morning sun shone through the tall trees as Nira, Zaya, Rek, and Tommel gathered at the edge of the forest. The quiet air was filled with hope and determination. They had faced the scout ship the night before. The threat was real, but so was their strength. "We can't run," Nira said firmly. "We must protect this place." Zaya nodded. "We have technology, but we need more. We must work together." Rek looked at the sisters and smiled. "Then let's build a plan." The first step was to create a shield strong enough to hide the forest from any enemy sensors. Nira and Zaya led the work. Nira pulled out small, glowing crystals from a hidden pouch. These can create energy fields when powered right. Rek and Tommel watched carefully as Nira connected wires and devices. The crystals began to glow brighter. Zaya held a small device that sent soft pulses through the air. If we place these crystals around the forest, they will block scanners. Rek knelt down and picked up a piece of metal. We can use this to build support frames. Tommel nodded. I'll help gather supplies from the base. We need metal, wires, and power sources. Over the next days, they worked like a team. Rek and Tommel brought materials from the base. They moved quietly to avoid suspicion. Nira and Zay used their alien knowledge to assemble the shield pieces. Their hands were fast and sure, even in the strange earth air. Sometimes, the work was hard. One afternoon, a sudden rainstorm soaked them all. Tools slipped, wires tangled, and the forest floor became slippery. Zeya laughed, shaking raindrops from her hair. This rain is stronger than any storm on Valtrix. Rex smiled. We're getting stronger too. Nira worked on the communication system. We need to send a message to Earth's leaders, she said. If the scout returns, they must know we are not alone. Tommel helped her fix an old satellite dish near the forest's edge. Together, they adjusted the antennas. Rek tested the system, sending signals into the sky. Sometimes the message was lost. But they kept trying. It will work, Rek said confidently, while building. Zaya taught Tommel how to use a small Valari device to create a protective shield. Tommel was amazed as the field flickered around his arm. This can stop attacks, Zaya explained. Tommel nodded. Earth soldiers could use this, Zaya smiled. We will teach more when the time comes. During a quiet moment, Nira handed Rek a small device. This lets you hear my thoughts if we are apart, she said softly. Rek took it carefully. Thank you. Zaya gave Tommel a necklace made from glowing Valtrix crystals. Keep this with you, she said. It will remind you that we stand together. Tommel smiled. I will. The days passed quickly, and the shield began to take shape. At night, soft light glowed around the forest, invisible to the naked eye but strong enough to block sensors. The small camp felt safer, but danger was still near. One morning, Rex spotted movement in the sky ship returning. It's the scout again, he said. Nira nodded. We are ready. As the scout ship moved closer, the group activated the shield. The ship's sensors could not find them. It sent drones to search, but the shield blocked their signals. The drones faltered and fell harmlessly to the ground. Zaya smiled. The shield works. Rek looked up at the ship. It's frustrated. Nira raised her hand. We send the message now. The communication system lit up, sending a clear message to the scout ship. We want peace. Leave Earth. We protect ourselves and those who stand with us. The scout captain's voice came back. Cold and hard. You are traitors. You cannot hide forever. Rex stepped forward. If you harm them, Earth will answer. The scout ship paused, then slowly turned and left. That night, the group sat together by the fire. Rex said, We did well. Tommel smiled. Together. We are stronger. Zaya looked at the stars. Earth is our home now. Nira reached out and held Rick's hand. We fight for this home, not with weapons, but with courage and hope. Rick nodded, and with friends. The sisters and soldiers knew the fight was not over, but they had made a promise to protect each other and their new home. Together, they were ready for whatever came next. The forest was quiet before dawn. Nira and Zaya stood at the edge of the camp, watching the first light touch the leaves. Their hearts beat steady, but full of hope. Rek and Tommel joined them, their faces calm but ready. The scout ship was back. The dark shape hovered above the trees, cold blue light scanning the ground. The ship moved silently, sending out drones to search. But the shield held strong. Zaya watched the drones fall one by one, confused and powerless. Nira's voice was steady. They cannot find us. Rek raised his hand. Hold your positions. The scout captain's voice echoed across the forest. You are traitors and must be erased. Nira stepped forward. Her voice was clear and calm. We do not want to fight. We want peace. We live here now. Zaya added, if you attack, You will face Earth's protectors. Rick's voice joined hers. We stand with Nira and Zaya. Tamil nodded beside him. You will not find weakness here. The scout ship sent more drones, faster and stronger, but the shield absorbed their attacks. The drones malfunctioned and crashed. Nira and Zaya watched without fear. They were not alone. Suddenly, the sky filled with new shapes. Earth's own ships appeared fast and bright, with powerful engines. Rick's voice was proud. Earth's protectors have come. The scout ship's captain paused. Sensing the new threat, the Earth ships formed a ring around the forest. The scout captain's voice was sharper now. You defy the Council and Earth. This is war, Rick replied firmly. This is protection. We fight only to defend. Nira looked at Rick, then at Tamil and the Earth soldiers. We are not enemies. We want peace. The scout ship hesitated. Then, slowly, it turned away. Its engines glowed, and it vanished into the dark sky. The drones fell silent. The forest was safe. Nira turned to Rick and Tamil. Thank you. You saved us. Rick smiled warmly. We stand together, now and always. Zay gave Tamil a small crystal from Valtrix. For courage, she said. Tamil accepted it with respect. The forest felt alive with hope. The sisters and soldiers had made a new family. Earth was no longer just a strange place. It was home. The sun rose gently over the forest. Soft rays of light touched the trees, the grass, and the small camp where for brave hearts had changed their future. Nira and Zaya sat near the fire, their hands wrapped around warm cups of herbal tea. The air was fresh, birds sang in the trees. Rick and Tamil stood nearby, checking the equipment that still hummed with power. Everything felt calm, but not quiet. Something had changed. It had been 3 days since the scout ship left. No attack came after that. No new drones, no messages, no warnings, only silence. Rick leaned over the small radio. Still nothing, he said. Maybe they gave up. Tamil looked at the sky. Or maybe they're watching from far away. Zaya shook her head. They're not ready to fight again. Not yet, Nira smiled. Then we use this time. We prepare. We build more. With help from Earth's defense officers, Nira and Zay were given a chance to speak to leaders around the world. Using Rick's repaired satellite dish, they sent a new message, one not of war, but of truth. Zaya stood in front of the camera, her voice gentle but strong. My sister and I did not come to Earth by choice, but here we found kindness, we found safety, and now we protect it with our new friends, Nira added. We ask only one thing, to live here in peace. The message went to every corner of the world. People started replying. Not with fear, but with support. Some said, they are welcome here. Others offered shelter, technology, and even protection. Children from schools wrote messages like, welcome to Earth, sisters. That same evening, a group of local villagers walked through the forest. They had seen the broadcast. They brought food, clothes, and small gifts. An old man stepped forward with a kind smile. You are not strangers anymore. This land is home for all who protect it. Nira's eyes filled with quiet emotion. Thank you, she whispered. As days passed, Earth soldiers set up stronger bases near the forest. But not to fight. Instead, they came to learn. Zaya showed them how to use crystal energy. Nira taught how to build shields using Valtrix knowledge. Rick and Tamil helped connect Earth's science with Valtrix tech for the first time. Human and alien minds worked as one. One afternoon, Rick took Nira to the top of a tall hill. From there, they could see the forest, the lakes, and small lights from the nearby village. This is beautiful, Nira said softly. Rick smiled. Just like you. She looked at him, surprised. But then she smiled too. I never thought I'd call someone from another world my home. Rick gently held her hand. You don't have to be from the same world to build a future. Tamil and Zaya spent more time together too. They trained in the open fields, laughed at each other's mistakes, and shared stories from their pasts. Zaya told him about her home, her sky, her people. Tamil listened quietly. Then he said, one day, maybe Earth and Valtrix will meet as friends. Zaya nodded. One day, late one evening, under the stars, The four of them sat around a glowing campfire. The air was peaceful. Tommel played a soft tune on a wooden flute. Rek roasted some wild roots over the fire. Zaya looked up. Do you think the council will return? Nira answered, maybe. But next time, we'll be ready, Rek added, and we won't be alone. Suddenly, the radio clicked. A soft message came through. We saw your signal. We are not part of the council. We are like you. Zaya leaned in. Another ship, Nira nodded. A group who also left Valtrix, peaceful ones. Tommel looked hopeful. More like you, maybe even family, Nira said quietly. A few days later, a small silver ship landed near the forest. It was quiet, smooth, and did not bring fear. From the ship came beings who looked like Nira and Zaya, some younger, some older. Their eyes held kindness and wonder. A woman stepped forward. Her voice shook as she saw Nira. Nira? Is it really you? Nira gasped. On. They hugged tightly. Family found again. The forest became a place of new beginnings. Earth's people. And peaceful Valtrix travelers build a village together, half Earth, half alien. Homes powered by crystals. Gardens with mixed seeds from both worlds. Schools where children learn both Earth science and Valtrix stars. One day, the leaders of Earth held a small ceremony. They gave Nira and Zayat the silver medallions shaped like a leaf and a star. For protecting peace, the officer said, for showing us a better way. Rek and Tommel stood beside them, proud and smiling. Time passed. And the world remembered the day when two alien sisters were left behind, not as enemies, not as strangers, but as heroes. They were not dumped on Earth anymore. They were Earth's defenders. They were Earth's family. And their story had just begun.